IVM.
Hey guys, welcome to the Positively Unlimited podcast. I'm currently recording an A to Z series on work-life balance, and we've reached the letter R. Well, this week's word is responsibilities. So I'm going to try and talk about responsibilities from different perspectives. And I hope to plant some seeds that allow you to think differently and in some ways realign your day or realign how you spend your energy, what you spend it on, and what kind of choices you make in the day. Well, one of the first things that I want to ask you is, do you know what are your responsibilities? And I'm not just talking about your professional life, I'm also talking about your personal life. So, as a son or daughter, as a sister, as a brother, as a husband, as a wife, as a mother, as a father, do you know what your responsibilities are? And similarly, in your workspace, the role that you have been hired to, the job that you are supposed to be doing, do you know what are the responsibilities of that role? Now, there are two things that I want you to think about when you answer this question. The first is, do not confuse responsibilities with what is expected of you. These are two very different things. And think about how you can differentiate between the two. Because what is expected of you may not always be a responsibility you are supposed to take on or supposed to fulfill. It could very well be just drama stemming out of a faulty belief held by that person who is expecting that particular thing from you. So for instance, if your boss expects you to say yes to everything that he says, that's not your responsibility. It's not part of your role. No, it's not listed under your KRAs. So once again, take some time out this week and write down what are the responsibilities on your shoulder in different areas of your life. And since this is all about work-life balance, start with work. Figure out what are the actual responsibilities you are supposed to be fulfilling in that role that you have been hired for. And which of those things that you have listed down under responsibilities are actually other people's expectations that you are trying to fulfill and not necessary stuff that you should be taking on. Now, since we're talking about work-life balance, the one thing that has happened to all of us in the last 1.5 years is work from home. And this phrase has turned our lives, our daily routines around. I mean, it really messed up our struggles with productivity. We were already struggling, and this just made it that much harder because the boundaries between work and home are completely blurred now. We have to also deal with our families who possibly have zero sense of boundaries or understanding privacy or giving somebody their space. So you could be on a Zoom meeting and you'd have family walking in and out of the room. I know there are trillions of memes online about this, but this is also a reality for so many of us. But another thing that happened to us because of work from home is that the kind of responsibilities that we had on our plate, well, they increased, they changed. Suddenly we had to do so many more things that we could not shy away from, things that we had to chip in for, and we had to take up. Whether it was domestic chores, whether it was spending more time with family members, whether it was chipping in to take care of the kids, help them in their studies more than what you would have otherwise done because you would have been in office, many kilometers away from home. And I know it's been very, very hard for so many of us to place those boundaries, to chalk out that time, to create that kind of separation between work and home, despite both of it happening within the same four walls. Well, not four, many walls, but you get what I'm saying. The only key to this situation is prioritizing. And yes, through the day, you will have to keep changing your priorities. So it's not like you can wake up in the morning and say today's priority is that presentation and stick by it through the day. There is a good chance that thanks to work from home, what you chose as your priority will be pushed right down the list because there's something else that's happening at work or maybe even at home that needs to take precedence. In this scenario, the one thing that we all need to do, and yeah, I know I said the only key is prioritization, but maybe there's another way, or maybe this is something like a complementary key, something tinier that can help you, which is to learn to ask for help. Whether you are asking for help from your colleagues, your peers, whether you're walking up to your boss and saying, well, not really walking up because we're locked down, but virtually, and having an honest conversation with him about what's going on at home without being afraid of losing your job or without judgment in your head. It's about using those leaves that you have that you never take because things at home need your attention. Well, simply put, one of the ways to fulfill all your responsibilities right now is to accept that you are human and there's only so much that you can do in a day, and hence you need to prioritize and you need to ask for help. This is not a time to sit on your high horse and say things are done right only when I do it. And if you are somebody who still wants to say that and do that, well, you don't get to complain if you are getting crushed under the weight of all the responsibilities you are taking on your shoulder. And a third perspective on responsibilities, I promise this is the last one for this episode, is that very often we all start craving for a different life. We all start wanting this carefree life where we are only traveling, only partying, spending money, where we are financially free, so to say, to do whatever it is that we want to do. And it's the story of a life where we have no responsibilities. Well, I just want to tell you this. That's an illusion. Even people who are as rich as your definition of financial freedom have responsibilities. And when you start thinking like that, when you start feeling those pangs of getting away and wanting to have just 1 week of nobody asking you a question and not having to sort out anything, you need to know that you are tired, you are exhausted, and there is something that you are overdoing or there is something that is overwhelming you in your life right now. Maybe it is the monotony of life. Maybe it is the sense of being locked in thanks to COVID. Maybe it is the blurred lines between work and home. Maybe it is lack of space. And maybe it is not having a single day off because you are working on Sundays just as much as you would be working on a Monday. Exhaustion and monotony often lead us to sit with these narratives of wanting a carefree life. So this week, as you listen to this episode about responsibilities, I hope that you can put everything in perspective and place different responsibilities in the right place at the right level in your life. When I say level, I mean a space where you are giving it the appropriate amount of mind space, emotions, and energy, and not overdoing something, not underdoing something, not pushing yourself too hard unnecessarily, and not throwing tantrums of wanting to live a carefree life either. On this note, I hope that you've enjoyed today's episode. If there is anything about this episode, anything that I've said that struck a chord and you want to talk to me about it, my handle is Positivity Angel on Instagram. I love reading your DMs and it really, really warms my heart when you guys tell me that an episode that I recorded helped you in something that you were going through. So please message me. I love chatting with each and every one of you. Also, all previous episodes are available on the IVM Podcast app and website. I have done a series of 26 episodes on relationships, 26 episodes on the lockdown last year, 26 episodes on finding your life purpose. And well, this current one is all about work-life balance. But before these specific series, there are also a whole bunch of episodes for many different things that you go through in life, especially stuff like drawing boundaries, people pleasing, overcoming anxiety, and even the right mindsets towards money. And if you would like to connect with us, the IVM folks, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle is IVM Podcasts.
I hope you enjoyed that show. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'd like to thank the sponsors on the network this week, Siet and Cred. We really appreciate the support. It is what makes this possible. So it was a fun week on Cyrus Says. We had guests like Dolly Singh, we had Guneet Monga, we had Kamya Jani of Curry Tales, and Cock and Bull as we always did. Do check it out. I think you'll really enjoy that. On Paisa Vaisa, we crossed 300 episodes and Anupam was joined by Akhil Handa, the digital head of Bank of Baroda. All Things Policy discussed topics like the 100 years of China's Communist Party, the Facebook versus the Government of India case, and the evolution of Indian science. On the Wire Talk, Siddharth Bhatia was joined by Gautam Bhatia to discuss the Central Vista project and why it's attracting so much flack. Sadaf and Archit are back on the Non-Curry podcast, and this time they raise the temperatures as they discuss the beloved spice mirchi. On the Millennial Athlete, this week Tanvi and Shlok speak to Sarita Chauri, a visually impaired judoist. And finally, I want to ask you all to give a listen to the Triangle Offense. Anybody who has heard me talk on a podcast knows I can't shut up about basketball, and these guys know more about it than I do. So if you enjoy basketball, do check this out. Nishant and Monish do an excellent job with this show. I was one of their guests a few months ago, which is how I met them and tried to convince them to come onto the network, and they're finally here. So definitely do check this out. Show's available on all major podcasting platforms, but they also have a daily YouTube episode, which is available on the IVM Podcast channel. And with that, I hope to see you again next week.
From uncensored and unfiltered chats with the who's who of the entertainment industry, I, Siddharth Kannan, bring you a very hardcore chat show called Candid Kannan. Tune in every Friday on the IVM Podcast app or wherever you get your podcasts.